The rear passenger on the impact side, it doesn't matter which side, faces the risk of devastating injuries. Let's get into it. Let's talk about intrusion into the passenger compartment from the direct force impact, which can then lead to crushing force to the torso, this being your torso, and the legs. Now, how does this happen? There's not that much in the way of bracing here in the way that cars are made today. And so when it enters into this compartmental intrusion that we're talking about, it goes right into your body and can actually cause a crushing where your bones are crushed. Your bones are then forced into your internal organs in the case of your ribs, and that can cause devastating injuries that can really affect your quality of life. Let's get a little bit more specific here. In your pelvic area, from either side, if you've got that direct force injury, you can crush a pelvis. And what's inside your pelvis? What does this protect? It protects your intestines. And if you're a woman, that's where your reproductive organs are. And so we see a lot of injuries right through here from direct crush where people don't think that now all of a sudden I'm having problems, a lot of female problems. They don't really think that that's from the wreck, and actually it is. And if you have a seatbelt on and the seatbelt is coming right across here, stomach injuries, blood in the stool, things like that, those are indications that you've been injured by the trauma of the direct force impact. And again, these are very serious life-altering injuries. You need to be aware of them and you need to check for them. This is why getting a trauma-trained lawyer is important for you getting the best possible result after a traumatic incident such as this. If you've seen any of these before, you know that I talk about what happens to your head. Now let's talk about it again. I don't want anybody, if this is the first time you've seen one of these, I don't want to miss this because it's so important. Your head will hit things when you have this type of impact. It doesn't matter on which side you're on. There is both a B pillar and a C pillar that your head can come into contact with. When that happens, there's going to be a violent shaking back and forth. When that happens, it can cause your brain to move unnaturally in a way that God didn't intend for your brain to move. Now, our brains actually go all the way down to just below the nose. And it's kind of like a goblet. There's a smaller end down here at the bottom and a larger end at the top. So the brain is held firmly in place. It's connected to the spinal cord and it's kind of in the bottom part of the cup-like area, but the top part can move back and forth. And when that happens, it can cause a shearing, a tearing, it's called brain shear, of the little bitty vessels in your brain, and that can cause a brain bleed, and that is very, very dangerous because, first of all, if your brain swells, they're going to have to do surgery to relieve the swelling. The second thing is if there's a brain bleed, that blood, when it's reabsorbed by the body, it leaves a hole in your brain just like Swiss cheese. Yes, I said Swiss cheese. So this is very, very, very important, very critical. You need to be aware of it. And a trauma-trained medical professional knows where to look, and a trauma-trained lawyer knows what questions to ask to find out if you've had this injury. Now, this whipping back and forth, if you've seen any of these things, you know what I talk about. You're going to have the possibility, if there's enough force, to have a disc impingement, where the force from the lateral bending and swaying back and forth can cause a disc injury, which means that you have a bulge or a herniation that will press on the nerve root, that will interrupt the electrical messages between the brain and the body part, and that can cause severe problems, even paralysis. This is very, very critical, so you need to be aware of this. Not only that, let's talk about ligament laxity. Doctors call this hypermobility. We call it, lay people, we call it whiplash, and it's the whipping back and forth. And this tears your ligaments and stretches them out of shape, and they never, ever, ever go back to where they were. This is a permanent injury. And this is why, after a wreck, you'll hear people say, my neck has never been the same. And they're right. It never will be the same. And that's because the muscles try to take over from what the ligaments can no longer do. And that's why you have the cramping from the muscles. They tire, they ache. That's why you have the pains in your neck. It's not in your head. Don't listen to that lying adjuster. These are real injuries and you deserve real compensation for them. If the impact has enough force behind it, or if you're in a car that isn't built to take that kind of impact, like a small economy car, You can have trapping injuries where you have to be cut out of the car. We see that quite frequently. And these trapping injuries cause crushing injuries, mainly to the legs and to the pelvis. So these are very, very life-altering injuries, and you need to be aware of them. And if you don't know where to look, you don't know how to associate these types of injuries to this impact, you will suffer for nothing. Don't let that happen to you. That is why it's critical not only to see trauma-trained medical personnel, but to have a trauma-trained lawyer who can help guide you through and make sure that you get the appropriate medical care. If you've been in this position during a crash, collision, or even a slip, trip, and fall, demand a thorough medical exam before even leaving the hospital. If an ambulance shows up and the EMTs think you need to go to the hospital, go. Listen to them. They are trained medical trauma personnel. Those are the first people that get to you, and those are the people you need to listen to the most. Lastly, if you've been in this, we would love to help you through your claim. We will do everything we can to make sure this turns out your way. We will gather all the evidence, and we will fight tooth and nail, not only to get you the appropriate medical care, but to make sure that you get the best possible outcome as a result of the injuries that you were caused to suffer through no fault of your own. Remember, you can call us 24/7, 365 at 888-WE-FIGHT. And here at John Michael Bailey Injury Lawyers, we will go toe-to-toe to make sure that you get what justice deserves. Thank you so much, and I hope to talk to you really soon. 888-WE-FIGHT.